There is a moment, quiet, invisible, and brutally honest, when a person discovers whether they are built to rise or designed to retreat. It does not happen in applause. It does not arrive with a spotlight. It comes in silence, when the world offers no encouragement and no one is watching. That moment decides everything, because the people who never quit are not driven by motivation. They are driven by something far more dangerous, an inner command that refuses to negotiate with fear. Most people believe success begins with talent, opportunity, or luck. That is a lie repeated so often it feels like truth. Success begins the instant a person decides that quitting is no longer an option. Not because the path is clear, not because the outcome is guaranteed, but because walking away would mean betraying the deepest version of themselves. That decision changes how the mind operates. It rewires perception. Obstacles stop looking like stop signs and start looking like instructions. The world trains people to wait. Wait for confidence. Wait for permission. Wait until conditions are perfect. But the men and women who shape history never waited for readiness. They moved while uncertain. They acted while afraid. They built discipline in the absence of motivation. Thomas Edison did not wake up inspired for 10,000 failures. He woke up committed. Henry Ford was not driven by comfort. He was driven by obsession. Walt Disney was told he lacked imagination, yet he saw worlds where others saw walls. These were not superhuman beings. They were ordinary individuals who refused to surrender authority over their belief. The secret habit of people who never quit is this: they do not ask how they feel before they act. They act first and allow their feelings to catch up later. They understand a truth most never grasp. Emotion is a byproduct of movement, not a prerequisite. Waiting to feel confident before moving is like waiting for fire to feel warm before lighting the match. The action creates the heat. There will be days when discipline feels heavy, days when doubt whispers with convincing logic, days when progress seems invisible and effort feels wasted. The average mind interprets those moments as signals to stop. The unbreakable mind interprets them as proof that growth is taking place. Pressure is not a sign to retreat. It is evidence of expansion. Muscles tear before they grow stronger. Character does the same. The habit that separates the relentless from the resigned is consistency in the unseen hours, when no one is clapping, when no one is counting your reps, when the reward is distant and the sacrifice is immediate. This is where identities are forged, not in the spotlight, but in solitude. Not in celebration, but in repetition. Day after day, choosing effort over comfort rewires the nervous system to expect victory instead of escape. Most people talk about discipline as punishment. The great ones understand it as freedom. Discipline removes chaos. It replaces confusion with clarity. When you commit to a standard and live by it daily, you free yourself from emotional negotiation. You stop asking, "Should I?" and start asking, "How will I?" That shift alone separates dreamers from builders. Every lasting transformation begins with a brutal self-audit. Not judgment, not shame, truth. The kind of truth that looks directly at excuses and calls them what they are. The kind that recognizes potential wasted is more painful than failure. Because failure teaches. Regret rots. People who never quit confront themselves daily. They do not hide from their weaknesses. They train them. They turn self-awareness into strategy. Belief for them is not a feeling. It is a practice. It is reinforced through small, disciplined actions stacked day after day until confidence becomes unavoidable. They visualize not to escape reality, but to rehearse dominance over it. The mind cannot tell the difference between a vividly imagined victory and a real one. That is why those who master visualization move with certainty even before results appear. They have already lived the outcome internally. And when setbacks come, as they always do, they do not personalize the pain. They do not ask, "Why me?" They ask, "What now?" Because resilience is not about toughness, it is about adaptability. It is about the willingness to adjust strategy without abandoning purpose. Water does not stop at a rock, it reshapes the path. That is the intelligence of persistence. This is where most people break, not because the challenge is too big, but because their identity is too small. They see difficulty as rejection instead of refinement. But the ones who never quit understand a deeper law. Resistance is the forge. Pressure is the price of evolution. And every trial is shaping them into someone capable of carrying what they once only dreamed of holding. They do not chase motivation. They build rituals. Morning by morning, action by action, they train their mind to obey their vision, not their mood. And slowly, almost invisibly, something changes. Discipline turns into confidence. Confidence hardens into certainty. Certainty becomes power. And once that power is born, it cannot be taken, only expanded. The journey continues, not because it is easy, but because quitting is no longer an option. The ones who never quit understand something the world rarely teaches. Endurance is not loud. It does not announce itself. It does not post updates or demand recognition. Endurance is quiet, almost invisible. It wakes up before the alarm and stays awake long after the applause fades. It shows up when enthusiasm is gone and replaces emotion with commitment. This is the discipline that builds empires from empty hands. There comes a moment in every life when the illusion of progress collapses, when effort seems invisible, when days blur together and the question whispers, "Is this even working?" That is the moment where most people turn back, not because they failed, but because they misinterpreted silence as defeat. The truth is, growth often hides in stillness. Roots spread underground long before the tree dares to rise above the soil. Those who never quit understand timing in a way others never will. They do not rush the process, nor do they delay the work. They trust that consistent effort compounds in ways the mind cannot immediately measure. They keep going, not because they are certain of success, but because stopping guarantees failure. That understanding alone separates those who endure from those who excuse. The world praises talent, but talent without discipline decays. Intelligence without direction becomes distraction. Passion without structure burns out. The rare individual is the one who binds all three together, who trains their focus like a muscle, sharpens it through repetition, and protects it from the noise of comparison. Because comparison is the thief of momentum. It steals energy that should be invested inward and redirects it outward toward envy, doubt, and distraction. People who never quit guard their attention fiercely. They know attention is life's most valuable currency. What you focus on expands. What you feed grows stronger, and what you ignore fades into irrelevance. This is why they choose their influences with intention. They limit exposure to chaos. They build environments that support the version of themselves they are becoming, not the one they are trying to escape. There is a moment, quiet, often unnoticed, when identity shifts, It is the moment you stop seeing yourself as someone trying and start seeing yourself as someone becoming. This shift changes behavior automatically. You stop negotiating with old habits. You stop making excuses for small betrayals of your standards. You begin to act in alignment with the person you are committed to becoming, not the one you used to be. This is where resilience transforms into inevitability. When your identity aligns with your vision, quitting feels unnatural. Giving up feels foreign. The idea of walking away from your purpose feels more painful than the struggle itself. That is the moment the path becomes irreversible. The world will test this alignment. It will test it through delays, disappointments, and detours, through rejection letters and unanswered efforts, through nights when progress feels invisible and mornings when motivation feels absent. These tests are not punishments. They are filters. They exist to separate those who want comfort from those who want mastery. Those who never quit understand that motivation is unreliable, but meaning is eternal. Motivation fluctuates with emotion. Meaning anchors you when emotion collapses. When you know why you endure, the how becomes negotiable. You find new routes, you adapt, you evolve, but you do not abandon the mission. Every great achiever eventually faces a season where effort outpaces results. This is the most dangerous phase because it tempts the mind to rewrite the story, to believe the work is wasted, to assume the dream was foolish. But this phase is not failure. It is compression. Pressure building before expansion. Just as coal transforms under relentless force, so does human potential. The ones who succeed do not escape this pressure. They submit to it intelligently. They let it refine them. They use it to sharpen focus, strengthen resolve, and deepen clarity. They learn to sit with discomfort without flinching, to move forward even when certainty disappears, to trust that consistency will eventually reveal what impatience never could. There is a discipline in choosing long-term fulfillment over short-term relief, in choosing progress over pleasure, in choosing purpose over approval. The world celebrates quick wins, but legacy is built slowly, brick by brick, choice by choice, day after day of doing what must be done, even when no one is watching and no one is cheering. This is where character is forged, not in grand moments, but in mundane ones, in the decision to wake up early when rest feels easier, in the refusal to quit when quitting would be convenient, in the courage to stay committed when results lag behind effort. These moments compound. They shape destiny. People often ask what separates the extraordinary from the ordinary. The answer is not intelligence, opportunity, or luck. It is tolerance for discomfort, the willingness to sit inside uncertainty without running, to stay focused while others scatter, to continue refining the craft while others chase novelty. Those who never quit understand that progress is not linear. There will be setbacks, plateaus, detours, but they also understand that quitting resets the journey to zero, while persistence always moves it forward, even when the movement is imperceptible. They learn to respect the process more than the outcome, because outcomes change, processes endure. When you master the process, results become inevitable. When you chase results without honoring the process, frustration becomes permanent. And so they wake each day not asking, "What will I get?" but "Who must I become today?" That question changes everything. It shifts the focus from external validation to internal evolution, from chasing applause to building integrity, from consuming inspiration to becoming it. This is the quiet power behind every lasting achievement, the unglamorous, uncelebrated consistency that compounds into greatness. The decision to show up fully, even when the world offers no guarantee of return. The people who never quit are not fearless. They simply refuse to let fear decide their future. They acknowledge it, respect it, and move anyway. They understand that courage is not the absence of fear, but the mastery of it. And eventually, something remarkable happens. The struggle that once felt endless begins to make sense. The discipline that once felt heavy becomes second nature. The vision that once felt distant begins to feel inevitable. Not because the world changed, but because they did. They no longer chase success. They embody it. And that is the secret. Not motivation, not luck, not talent. Relentless, disciplined, unshakable commitment to becoming the person who never quits. Because when quitting is no longer an option, success stops being a possibility and becomes a certainty.